Hello everybody, I'm your host Woody, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 10 haunted houses that should never have existed. No, I'm not talking about ones filled with actors and animatronics that you'll visit with your friends on Halloween, but actual real-world haunted houses with horrific histories. So let's get into it. Number 10. Molly Brown House. Molly Brown was known for being an explorer and adventurer, and her adventure led her to end up as a passenger on the Titanic. She was one of only a small number who managed to escape the tragedy alive, getting away on lifeboat number 6. She was known as the heroine of the Titanic, as she tried to get their lifeboat to turn back and find more survivors, and even got the first-class passengers to donate money to the less fortunate who had lost everything in the event. She then returned to her home in Denver, where she lived for years until she finally passed away in 1932. Brown and her separated husband and mother apparently still remain in the home, haunting it to this day. Visitors say that they can often see the figures of the three in various different rooms throughout the house. Furniture will be moved and rearranged, and this most commonly occurs in the room that used to be their daughter's. The house now serves as a museum, and if you're interested, you can visit it to this day. Number 9. Woodburn Mansion. The Woodburn Mansion is located in Dover, Delaware, and was built back in 1790. It is often known for its purchasing in 1965 to be the residence of the governor, but others know it for its history of ghostly appearances. The first ghost was sighted in the home around 25 years after it was built. The two owners at the time were entertaining a preacher, and when they sat down for dinner, he asked if they shouldn't be waiting for the other guests before they start their meal, but the owners explained that there was no other guest. But the preacher described a man he had seen in the home that matched the exact description of one of the owner's fathers. The ghost of her father had also been seen by other guests over the years. People now say that the ghost of a little girl will also often appear, and if you leave out a glass of wine, it will be drank by the spirits of Revolutionary soldiers. Number 8. Bell Witch Farm. The Bell Witch is known for being one of the most well-documented supernatural stories ever. A woman named Kate Batts was neighbors with John Bell, who lived on the Bell Farm. They were feuding neighbors because she believed that he had cheated her out of some land in a deal, and on her deathbed she vowed to haunt the Bell family and farm forever. For the next 3 years, they experienced very strange things happening. They would hear voices speaking into their ears, see strange animals like a dog with a rabbit's head, and John's daughter would even suffer from physical attacks that would leave her unconscious. Eventually, John died, and a vial with a strange liquid was found beside his bed. The Bell Witch was held responsible for his death, marking the first time in history that a death would ever be officially recognized as being caused by the supernatural. Through their website, you can book overnight tours of the property and for some reason also book some river tubing while you're at it. Number 7. The Mackenzie House. The Mackenzie House is located in Toronto and is known for being the home of the city's first ever mayor, William Mackenzie. He moved to the home in 1859 and died only 2 years later, leaving behind his wife and a total of 14 children. The home was empty for a while until renovations began in the 1940s to turn the property into a museum. That was when people started reporting the ghost of the Mackenzie House. It was apparently a long-haired woman who even reportedly slapped a caretaker across the face. There were also many more reports of the ghost of William Mackenzie himself haunting the house, being spotted many different times over the decades. Other reports include a tall, dark figure that watches guests sleep, footsteps creaking through the hall, and the sound of piano music. The house was successfully turned into a museum and is open for anybody to visit. Number 6. Lalaurie House. The Lalaurie House was famously reimagined in American Horror Story Coven, Kathy Bates playing Madame Delphine Lalaurie. The woman was a real-life socialite turned serial killer. She had a chamber in her home where she would dispose of her victims between 1831 and 1834, but responders to a fire would eventually uncover her dark secret. Her victims apparently continue to haunt the property to this day, unable to rest because of how they died tragically. Pedestrians can apparently hear shouting, moaning, and crying coming from the home, some people even saying that they can see faces looking out into the street from the windows. Despite its history, the house has managed to maintain a place on the market, even being owned by Nicolas Cage until 2009, and it's now apparently owned by a wealthy oil tycoon. Number 5. Franklin Castle. Franklin Castle is known as one of the most haunted destinations in Ohio, having been built in 1865 for the Tiedemann family. Over the next few years, various different tragedies would take place. 4 of the family members died, and the father apparently had a hidden passage inside the home where he killed another member of his family and his mistress. Since then, those who have been inside the castle cite various different paranormal experiences and strange occurrences. In the tower window, there is apparently a woman in black who will stand there looking out at passers-by. There are also reports of crying children, doors flying off hinges, and lights spinning. You can also apparently hear footsteps inside the home even if you're alone, and if you leave something on a floor or a table, it will be moved to a different spot. Human remains were also once found inside the home in the 1970s, though it was never confirmed whether or not they were real. Number 4. Joshua Ward House. The Joshua Ward House was built in Salem in 1784, Salem being known as one of the most haunted cities in the world due to the witch trials that took place there. The home was built by Joshua Ward on property that was first owned by George Corwin, the High Sheriff of Salem during the trials. He was responsible for all of the deaths that came as a result, and there were even rumors that he would lure those accused of being witches to his home and would inflict cruelty on them before their trial. Many times after a witch was found guilty, George would go to their home and steal their belongings, an action that would eventually end up with him being arrested. After he died, he was buried in the basement of the home, and as a result apparently haunts it to this day. People report the feeling of being choked, apparently by George's spirit, and there are 2 others that haunt the home: Giles Corey, a man who was found guilty as being a warlock, and another unnamed witch. Number 3. The Myrtles Plantation. The Myrtles Plantation in St. Francisville is said to be one of the creepiest places in the South, and is even called one of the most haunted houses in America. The house was built in 1797, and since then apparently dozens of deaths have occurred in a variety of different ways, including illness, poisoning, and attacks. Visitors and those who have lived in the home have reported many strange events taking place within the house. A few of the reported paranormal events include jewelry disappearing, furniture moving on its own, a grand piano playing itself, mysterious handprints, disappearing objects, and seeing former house residents standing behind you in mirrors. In the 70s, when it was purchased by the Myers family, there were numerous reports and even photos of the spirit of a young girl haunting the property. Now it stands as a bed and breakfast, popular with those chasing the paranormal, and you can receive tours late at night. Number 2. The Winchester Mystery House. This one is probably the most popular and well known on this list. The Winchester Mystery House was built in San Jose, California, and is said to be haunted by the ghosts of everyone who was killed by a Winchester weapon. Sarah Winchester lived in the home after the death of her husband, the founder, and was tormented by the spirits of everyone who had died, so she started adding rooms to the home to make room for and confuse the restless spirits. Over time, the home became a labyrinth with many confusing features, including halls to nowhere, cut-off staircases, and sloping floors. The house now apparently has 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors, 47 fireplaces, 40 staircases, 13 bathrooms, and 9 kitchens. Sarah Winchester died in 1922, and the home is now host to tours for anyone who wishes to go in search of evidence of the many ghosts within the walls. Number 1. The Whaley House. In the year 1852, a man named James Robinson, also known as Yankee Jim, was sentenced to death for the crime of grand larceny or theft. Years later, a couple named Thomas and Anna Whaley built a house on the exact spot where Yankee Jim had passed away. As a result, the home apparently became haunted by his restless spirit. His footsteps were apparently able to be heard throughout the house. As years went on, though, more ghosts came to inhabit the property, including Mr. and Mrs. Whaley after they had passed away, along with their dog. All their ghosts have been reported as being sighted within the home. The sightings and paranormal events apparently became so overwhelming that in the 1960s, the U.S. Commerce Department classed the house as officially haunted. It is now a museum that offers nighttime tours to those who are interested in potentially catching a glimpse of the ghosts. Thank you guys for watching. That was 10 haunted houses that should never have existed. Which one of these would you spend a night in if you had to pick? Let me know. I've been Woody and you've been amazing. Join us next time for more lists and scary things.